The coffee had gone cold an hour ago, but Elena barely noticed. Her eyes were fixed on the screen, scanning through another threatening email that had appeared in her private inbox. This was the fifth one this week. Each message was more specific than the last, mentioning things only someone close to her would know. She rubbed her temples and glanced at the clock. 9:30 in the evening. Her assistant had left hours ago along with everyone else in the building. The silence of the empty office should have been peaceful, but tonight it felt suffocating. A knock on her door made her jump. "Miss Hartwell, your security consultant is here." Her night receptionist called through the intercom. Elena sighed. She'd been against this from the start. The board had insisted after the threats escalated, but hiring a bodyguard felt like admitting defeat. Like admitting she was scared. And Elena Hartwell didn't get scared. She got even. "Send him in," she said, closing her laptop with more force than necessary. The man who walked through her door wasn't what she expected. Most security people she'd met were bulky guys in tight suits who looked uncomfortable in office buildings. This one moved differently, quiet, controlled. He wore simple dark pants and a fitted jacket that somehow made him look both professional and ready for action. "Miss Hartwell, I'm Ryan Torres. Your firm hired me to handle your security situation." He extended his hand. She shook it briefly. His grip was firm but not aggressive. "I'll be honest, Mr. Torres, I think this is unnecessary. A few emails don't warrant a full-time shadow." "With respect, ma'am, the last email included a photo of you leaving your apartment yesterday morning. That's not just emails anymore." Elena felt her stomach tighten. She hadn't mentioned that detail to anyone. "How did you—" "I reviewed your case file before coming here." "That's my job." He pulled out a tablet. "I need to understand your daily routine, who has access to your schedule, and anyone who might have a reason to target you." "That could take all night," she said, only half joking. "I've got time." Something in his tone made her believe him. Elena found herself talking, explaining her typical day, the people she worked with, the upcoming product launch that had the tech world buzzing. Ryan listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes on his tablet. "What about family?" he asked after a while. Elena's jaw tightened. "What about them?" "The threatening messages mention your family history. Someone's digging into your past. My family is complicated. In private?" "Private doesn't keep you safe, Miss Hartwell. Information does." They stared at each other for a long moment. Elena hated that he was right. She also hated that she was going to have to trust this stranger with things she'd spent years trying to bury. "My father died 3 years ago," she finally said. "He was accused of embezzling from our family's company. Millions of dollars just disappeared and all the evidence pointed to him. He died before he could defend himself, and our family name was destroyed. Everything I've built with my company, I built to prove that I'm not like him, that our name can mean something good again." Ryan nodded slowly. "And now someone's threatening to drag all that back up. Worse, they're threatening to destroy everything I've built. My company, my reputation, all of it." Elena's voice cracked slightly and she hated herself for it. Before Ryan could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his expression shifted slightly. "I need to step out for a moment. Stay here, lock the door behind me." "Is something wrong?" "Just a personal situation. I'll be right back." He left quickly, and Elena heard him talking in the hallway, his voice lower now, gentler. Curious, she cracked the door open slightly. Ryan was crouched down, talking to a little girl who couldn't have been more than 8 or 9. She had a backpack almost as big as she was and looked like she'd been crying. "I'm sorry, Dad," the girl was saying. "Mrs. Peterson said she couldn't watch me tonight because she got sick. I tried calling, but you didn't answer, and I didn't know where else to go. The cab driver was nice and helped me find your address in your office. It's okay, Mia, you did good." Ryan hugged her, then seemed to remember where he was. He looked up and saw Elena watching. "I apologize, Miss Hartwell. This is my daughter, Mia. My regular babysitter had an emergency and—" "Bring her in," Elena said, surprising herself. "She can't wait in the hallway." Ryan hesitated, then nodded. Mia walked into the office, looking around with wide eyes at all the screens and technology. "Whoa," she breathed. "Do you work with computers?" "I run a technology company," Elena said, finding herself smiling slightly. "We make software. Cool. I want to learn to code. Dad says it's like solving puzzles." "It is, actually." Elena pulled up a chair. "Do you want to see?" For the next 20 minutes, Elena forgot about the threats, the stress, everything. She showed Mia some simple coding concepts and the girl caught on remarkably fast. Ryan stood to the side, watching with an expression Elena couldn't quite read. "You're good with her," he said quietly when Mia was absorbed in trying to write her first line of code. "I'm usually not good with people in general," Elena admitted. "Kids are easier. They don't judge. Grown-ups shouldn't either." Elena met his eyes. There was something genuine there, something that made her think maybe having him around wouldn't be the worst thing. At least he seemed to understand what it was like to carry responsibility, to protect someone you love. "Dad," Mia said suddenly, "can I come back tomorrow? Miss Hartwell said she'd show me more stuff." Elena opened her mouth to make an excuse but found herself saying, "If your dad doesn't mind, sure." Ryan looked surprised but pleased. "We'll see, Bug. Right now we need to get you home and in bed." As they were leaving, Ryan turned back. "Miss Hartwell, I'll be back here tomorrow at 7, and I'll be reviewing security footage from your building. Someone's watching you and I intend to find out who." After they left, Elena sat in her empty office. For the first time in months, she didn't feel quite so alone. There was something steadying about Ryan Torres, and his daughter had made her smile genuinely for the first time in weeks. She opened her laptop again, but this time she wasn't looking at threats. She was thinking about tomorrow, about showing Mia more coding tricks, about having someone on her side who seemed to actually care about keeping her safe. Maybe this arrangement wouldn't be so bad after all. Outside her window, the city lights twinkled. Somewhere out there, someone was planning her downfall. But for tonight, Elena let herself have this small moment of peace. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. 2 weeks had passed, and Ryan had become a constant presence in Elena's life. He was there when she left her apartment building each morning, a silent shadow in the car behind hers. He sat in the corner of her office during meetings, watching everyone who came and went. And somehow, without her quite knowing how it happened, Mia had become a regular visitor too. The little girl would come by 3 times a week after school, sitting at the small table in Elena's office and doing homework while her father worked. On good days, when Elena had a few spare minutes, she'd teach Mia something new about technology, or show her the projects her company was developing. It felt strange at first, having them there. Elena had spent so long building walls around herself, keeping everyone at a professional distance. But Mia's innocent questions and Ryan's steady presence had started to crack something open inside her. "Miss Hartwell?" Ryan's voice cut through her thoughts. They were in her car, heading to a charity dinner her mother had insisted she attend. "We need to talk about tonight. It's just a family dinner. Boring speeches and expensive wine. It's your family dinner. The same family you told me has complicated history. The same family that might be connected to these threats." Elena stared out the window. "You think someone in my family is behind this? I think we can't rule it out. Money and family secrets make people do desperate things." She knew he was right. The threats had gotten worse. 3 days ago, someone had leaked a false story to the press claiming her company was using stolen technology. It had taken her PR team working around the clock to contain the damage. Yesterday, she'd found her car tires slashed in the parking garage. Someone wasn't just trying to scare her anymore. They were trying to destroy her. "My cousin Derek will be there tonight," Elena said quietly. "He's always resented me. When my father was accused of embezzlement, Derek's father, my Uncle Richard, took over the family business. Derek was supposed to inherit everything. Then I built my company and restored our family name through my own success. He hates that." "Has he threatened you directly?" "Not in words. But the way he looks at me sometimes..." Elena shivered despite the warm car, "like he wishes I'd just disappear." Ryan's jaw tightened. "I'll be right next to you all night. If anyone makes you uncomfortable, we leave immediately. You can't follow me into a family dinner like a bodyguard. It'll cause a scene. Then introduce me as a colleague, a business partner. I don't care what you call me, but I'm not leaving your side." The firmness in his voice made Elena feel something she hadn't felt in years. Protected. Safe. The dinner was at her mother's estate, a sprawling mansion that had been in the family for 3 generations. Elena's stomach churned as they pulled up the long driveway. She hadn't been back here since her father's funeral. "You okay?" Ryan asked, noticing her hands gripping her purse. "I hate this place. Too many bad memories. We don't have to stay long. Get in, show your face, get out." Elena's mother, Victoria, met them at the door. She was elegant as always, her silver hair perfectly styled, her expression cool and controlled. "Elena, darling, you're late." Her eyes moved to Ryan. "And you brought a guest?" "Mother, this is Ryan Torres. He's consulting on my company's new security protocols." Victoria's eyes narrowed slightly, but she smiled. "How lovely. Do come in." The dinner room was filled with family members Elena barely recognized. Distant cousins, her Uncle Richard holding court at the head of the table, and Derek sitting beside him with a smug expression that made Elena's skin crawl. "Well, well," Derek said as they entered. "The prodigal daughter returns, and she brought her bodyguard." "Business consultant," Elena corrected, keeping her voice level. "Right, because tech CEOs always bring consultants to family dinners." Derek's smile was cold, unless of course someone's feeling threatened. Ryan's hand touched Elena's lower back briefly, a grounding gesture. She took her seat across from Derek and Ryan sat beside her. The dinner started civilly enough. Small talk about weather, business, the upcoming holiday season, but Elena could feel the tension building like a storm about to break. It was her Uncle Richard who finally brought up the elephant in the room. "Elena, I heard about the unfortunate press incident last week. False allegations about stolen technology. Messy business." He sipped his wine. "It made me think of your father. How quickly a reputation can be destroyed by accusations." The table went quiet. "My father was innocent," Elena said firmly, "and I'm working on proving it." Derek laughed. "Still clinging to that fantasy?" The evidence was clear. He stole from this family, and he died before he could face justice. "The evidence was manufactured," Elena shot back, her voice rising. "And I'm close to proving who really took that money." The silence that followed was deafening. Richard's face had gone pale. Derek's smirk had disappeared. "Careful, cousin," Derek said softly. "Some stones are better left unturned." "Is that a threat?" Ryan asked, his voice calm but with an edge that made everyone look at him. "It's advice," Derek replied. "Family advice." "Elena's always been stubborn. Doesn't know when to let things go." "Maybe because the truth matters," Elena said. "Maybe because I'm tired of living under a cloud of suspicion for something my father didn't do." Richard stood abruptly. "This is neither the time nor the place for this discussion. Elena, if you have concerns about the past, we can address them privately, through proper channels." "Proper channels?" Elena stood too. "You mean the same channels that buried the investigation 3 years ago? The same lawyers who made sure no one looked too closely at the offshore accounts?" "Elena," her mother's voice was sharp. "That's enough." But Elena was done being quiet. "Someone has been threatening me for weeks, trying to ruin my company, destroy what I've built, and I think it's because I'm getting close to the truth about what really happened." Derek stood now, moving around the table toward her. "You don't know what you're talking about." Ryan was on his feet immediately, stepping between Derek and Elena. "Back up." "Or what?" Derek sneered. "You'll hurt me." "In front of witnesses?" Ryan didn't move, didn't blink. "I don't need to hurt you. I just need to keep you away from her." Derek looked at Ryan, really looked at him for the first time, and something in Ryan's eyes made him take a step back. "This isn't over," Derek said, pointing at Elena. "You keep digging into the past. You won't like what you find." "That sounds like a confession," Ryan observed quietly. Richard grabbed Derek's arm. "We're leaving. Victoria, thank you for dinner." As they stormed out, the remaining family members began to disperse quickly, clearly uncomfortable with the confrontation. Within minutes, only Elena, Ryan, and Victoria remained. "You've made a terrible mistake tonight," Victoria said, her voice cold. "The only mistake was staying silent for 3 years," Elena replied. "Dad deserved better." "Your father made his choices." "No, Mother. Someone made choices for him, and I'm going to prove it." Victoria looked at her daughter for a long moment, and for just a second, Elena saw something flicker in her eyes. Fear, regret, but then it was gone. "Be careful, Elena. Some truths destroy more than they heal." In the car on the way home, Elena was shaking. The adrenaline was wearing off, replaced by exhaustion and fear. "I probably shouldn't have confronted them like that," she said. "You were honest. That takes courage, or stupidity. Now they know I'm close to something." Ryan pulled the car over and turned to face her. "Elena, listen to me. Whatever you're investigating, whatever truth you're chasing, you're not alone. I meant what I said. I'm here to protect you, and I will." "Why?" Elena asked. "This is just a job for you." Ryan was quiet for a moment. It started as a job. But Mia talks about you constantly, about how smart you are, how kind. And I've watched you these past 2 weeks. You care about people, about doing the right thing. That's not just a client to me anymore. That's someone worth protecting. Elena felt tears prick her eyes. Ryan, we'll figure this out, he said firmly. Together. But first, we need to get you somewhere safe and start digging into what your family is really hiding. As they drove through the night, Elena felt something shift. The fear was still there, but now there was something else too. Hope. And the strangest feeling that maybe, just maybe, she'd found someone she could truly trust. Her phone buzzed. Another message from an unknown number. You should have stayed quiet. Now you've left me no choice. Elena showed it to Ryan. His expression hardened. Change of plans, he said. You're not going home tonight. Pack a bag. You're staying somewhere secure. Where? My place. Mia will be thrilled. And it's the one location your family doesn't know about. Elena nodded. For the first time since this nightmare began, she didn't argue, because deep down she knew the real danger was just beginning. Living in Ryan's apartment was nothing like Elena expected. She'd imagined something sparse and military, all clean lines and no personality. Instead, she walked into a warm space filled with Mia's drawings on the refrigerator, books scattered on the coffee table, and a cozy mess that spoke of real life being lived. Sorry about the chaos, Ryan said, quickly gathering up some of Mia's toys from the couch. We weren't expecting company. It's perfect, Elena said, and she meant it. Her own penthouse was all glass and steel, beautiful but cold. This felt like a home. Mia came running from her bedroom, stopping short when she saw Elena. Miss Hartwell, are you having a sleepover? Something like that, Ryan said. Miss Hartwell needs to stay with us for a few days. Is that okay? That's awesome. Mia grabbed Elena's hand. You can sleep in the guest room, and tomorrow I can show you my rock collection and we can make pancakes for breakfast. Elena laughed, the tension of the evening finally breaking. That sounds wonderful. The next morning, true to her word, Mia dragged Elena into the kitchen at 7 o'clock to make pancakes. Ryan was already up, coffee brewing, looking more relaxed in jeans and a t-shirt than Elena had ever seen him. Dad's pancakes are the best, Mia announced. He learned to make them when my mom got sick. Elena glanced at Ryan, who gave a small nod. They hadn't talked about his wife, but Elena understood grief, how it lived in the small spaces of daily life. Then I'll have to learn from the master, Elena said. As they cooked together, flour dusting the counters and laughter filling the kitchen, Elena felt something she hadn't felt in years. Normal, like she was part of something, bigger than just herself and her company. But reality came crashing back when Ryan's laptop pinged with an alert. What is it? Elena asked, seeing his expression change. Security footage from your office building. Someone tried to access your private server room last night. The pancakes were forgotten. They moved to Ryan's desk where he pulled up the footage. A figure in a maintenance uniform, face obscured by a cap, tried to bypass the security system. Did they get in? Elena's heart raced. No, your security protocols held. But they knew exactly where to go. This wasn't random. It's someone who knows the building layout, someone who's been there before. Ryan zoomed in on the footage, enhancing the image. Look at the way they move. Military training, maybe, or professional security background, he paused. I'm going to send this to a contact of mine, someone who can help us dig deeper into your family's finances. Over the next week, Ryan's apartment became their command center. Elena worked from the dining table during the day while Ryan coordinated with his contacts. Mia would come home from school and do homework alongside them, occasionally asking questions that made both adults laugh. Are you and Dad dating? Mia asked one afternoon, completely out of the blue. Elena nearly choked on her coffee. Ryan looked equally flustered. We're working together, Bug, Ryan said carefully. But you look at each other funny, like the people in the movies before they kiss. Mia, Ryan warned, but his ears were red. Elena found herself smiling despite the awkwardness. Your dad and I are friends. Good friends. Okay, Mia said. But her knowing smile suggested she didn't believe it for a second. That night, after Mia was asleep, Ryan's contact came through with information that changed everything. Look at this, Ryan said, pulling up documents on his laptop. Your Uncle Richard opened 3 offshore accounts 2 weeks before the money disappeared from the family company. The accounts were opened using your father's identification, but the signatures don't match. Elena's hands trembled as she looked at the evidence. This proves my father was framed. It gets better. Or worse, depending on how you look at it. Ryan pulled up more files. Derek has been making large payments to someone for the past 6 months. Always in cash, always to the same person. Who? I'm still working on that. But I have a theory. Someone who knows building security, who could access your office, who has reason to want you silent. We need to present this evidence, Elena said. To the police, to the board, to everyone? Not yet. If we move too soon, they'll destroy what's left. We need everything locked down tight, and we need to know who Derek's been paying. The following week, Elena's mother called. There was going to be another family gathering, this time for the company's annual charity gala. It was the biggest event of the year, with press, board members, and half of the city's elite in attendance. You need to be there, Victoria said firmly. Your absence would cause talk. Elena looked at Ryan. It could be a trap. Or an opportunity, Ryan countered. Everyone will be there. Derek, your uncle, all the potential suspects. We bring the evidence, we have witnesses, we end this publicly. That's risky. Staying hidden is riskier. They know you're investigating. Better to control when and where the confrontation happens. Elena agreed, though her stomach churned at the thought. The gala was in 3 days. 3 days to prepare, to make sure they had everything they needed. The night of the gala, Elena stood in front of the mirror in her borrowed guest room, adjusting her dress. It was deep blue, elegant and professional. Armor for the battle ahead. Ryan knocked softly before entering. He was in a dark suit and Elena's breath caught. He looked different. Still dangerous, still alert, but polished in a way that made her heart skip. You look beautiful, he said quietly. You clean up pretty well yourself. They stood there for a moment, the weight of what they were about to do hanging between them. Elena, if this goes wrong, it won't. But if it does, I need you to know that Ryan stopped, struggling with words. These past few weeks, having you here, watching you with Mia, I've realized something. This stopped being just a job a long time ago. Elena stepped closer. Ryan, I feel the same way. But let's get through tonight first. Then we can figure out what this is between us. He nodded, offering his arm. Ready to face the wolves? With you? Yes. The gala was held at the city's finest hotel. A ballroom glittering with chandeliers and full of people in expensive clothes making small talk. Elena felt every eye on her as she entered with Ryan. Derek was there immediately, champagne in hand and that same smug smile on his face. Elena, so glad you could make it. And you brought your guard dog again? Careful, Derek, Ryan said mildly. Dogs bite when provoked. The evening progressed with painful slowness. Speeches, toasts, the endless social dancing Elena had always hated. But she played her part, smiling and nodding, waiting for the right moment. It came when her Uncle Richard took the stage to give the keynote address about family legacy and honor. Elena felt Ryan tense beside her. It's time, she whispered. They moved through the crowd toward the stage. Elena's heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. This was it. Everything she'd worked for, everything she'd discovered, all came down to this moment. Richard was mid-sentence when Elena stepped onto the stage. The room went silent. I'm sorry to interrupt, Elena said, her voice carrying across the ballroom. But I think it's time we talked about family legacy and honor. Real honor, not the lies we've been living. Elena, what are you doing? Victoria stood, her face pale. I'm telling the truth, Mother. Something I should have done 3 years ago. Elena pulled out her phone, projecting documents onto the screen behind her. My father didn't steal from this family. He was framed. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Richard's face went from pale to red. This is outrageous, he sputtered. Security, remove her. I wouldn't do that, Ryan said, stepping forward. His voice wasn't loud, but something in it made the approaching security guard stop. Unless you want to answer to the FBI agents waiting outside? It was a bluff, but a good one. Richard hesitated. These documents show offshore accounts opened in my father's name, Elena continued. Accounts he never had access to. Accounts controlled by someone else. Someone who had motive, means, and opportunity to frame him. Derek pushed through the crowd, his face twisted with anger. You have no proof. Actually, we do, Ryan said. Including bank statements showing you've been paying someone to threaten Miss Hartwell. To scare her into silence. Derek lunged toward the stage, but Ryan was faster. He moved between Derek and Elena so quickly it was almost a blur. Derek stumbled, his hand reaching out, and Ryan caught his wrist in a grip that made Derek cry out. "Go ahead," Ryan said, his voice deadly calm. "Touch her. See what happens." The room had gone completely silent. Everyone was staring. Elena saw her mother's face, saw the realization dawning there. The guilt. The knowledge. "You knew," Elena said softly, looking at Victoria. "Didn't you, Mother? You knew Dad was innocent?" Victoria's composure cracked. "I didn't know. Not at first. But later I suspected. And I said nothing because the scandal was already done. Bringing it back up would have destroyed us all." "It destroyed Dad," Elena said, tears streaming down her face now. "It destroyed me, and you let it happen to protect the family reputation." Richard tried to leave, but Ryan had already signaled to someone. Real police officers entered the ballroom, moving toward Richard and Derek. "Richard Hartwell, Derek Hartwell, you're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy," an officer announced. The ballroom erupted in chaos. Reporters were shouting questions, guests were fleeing, and Elena stood in the center of it all, shaking. Ryan was there immediately, his arm around her, guiding her off the stage. The morning after the gala, Elena's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Her company's PR team, journalists, board members, even distant relatives she hadn't heard from in years. Everyone wanted a statement, an interview, a piece of the story that had blown up the city's most prominent family. She turned the phone off and sat at Ryan's kitchen table, nursing her third cup of coffee. Mia was at school, Ryan was in the shower, and Elena finally had a moment to breathe and think about what happened. The evidence had been handed over to the authorities. Richard and Derek were in custody, facing multiple charges. Her mother had left 3 voicemails that Elena couldn't bring herself to listen to, and somewhere in all of this chaos, Elena was supposed to figure out how to move forward. Ryan emerged from the hallway, his hair still damp, wearing jeans and a navy sweater that made his eyes look darker. He'd been military once, Elena knew that now. The way he moved, the way he assessed every situation, the calm way he'd handled everything last night. But he'd left that life behind to raise Mia after his wife died. Traded combat zones for parent-teacher conferences. "You should eat something," he said, already pulling eggs from the refrigerator. "I'm not hungry." "You're going to eat anyway." He cracked eggs into a pan with practiced ease. "You need your strength. Today's going to be complicated." "Today? Try the next 6 months." Elena rubbed her face. "My lawyers are putting together a case to clear my father's name officially. The company board wants an emergency meeting, and somewhere in all of this I need to actually run my business." Ryan slid a plate in front of her, scrambled eggs, toast, and fresh fruit. "One thing at a time. What's the most urgent?" "The board meeting is this afternoon. They're concerned about the publicity affecting the company." "Will it?" "Probably the opposite, actually. We're trending on every social media platform. Half the tech world is calling me a hero for standing up to corruption. Our stock price went up 12% this morning." She laughed without humor. "Apparently exposing family fraud is good for business." Ryan sat across from her. "But that's not what's bothering you." Elena picked at her eggs. "My mother called. Multiple times. I don't know what to say to her." "What do you want to say?" "I want to scream at her. Ask her how she could know the truth and stay silent. Ask her if protecting the family reputation was worth losing her daughter." Elena's voice cracked. "But I also want her to tell me she's sorry. That she wishes she'd been stronger. That she loved Dad and me more than she feared the scandal." "Those things can both be true," Ryan said gently. "She failed you, and she's probably drowning in regret. That doesn't make it okay." "No, it doesn't. But eventually you'll need to decide if you want a relationship with her or not, and that's your choice, nobody else's." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, Elena actually managing to eat a few bites. She was starting to understand why Mia was so well adjusted despite losing her mother. Ryan had this way of making complicated things feel manageable, breaking overwhelming problems into smaller pieces. "I need to go home eventually," Elena said. "Get clothes, check on my apartment, start getting back to normal life. We'll go together. I want to sweep your place for any surveillance equipment first. Whoever Derek was paying might have planted something. You think I'm still in danger? I think we should be careful until we know exactly who was involved." Ryan's expression was serious. "Derek didn't orchestrate all of this alone. He's not that smart. Someone else was pulling strings and we haven't found them yet. That afternoon, Ryan drove Elena to her company's headquarters. The parking lot was full of news vans, reporters with cameras waiting for a statement. Ryan took her hand as they approached. Ignore them. Keep your head up. You have nothing to hide. Elena did exactly that, walking past the shouting reporters without comment. Ryan, a solid presence beside her. Inside, her assistant met them with a relieved expression. Thank goodness you're here. The board is waiting. And your mother is in your office. Elena stopped. My mother? She insisted. Said it was urgent. Ryan looked at Elena. Do you want me to ask her to leave? Elena took a breath. No, I need to deal with this eventually. Might as well be now. Her mother was standing by the window when Elena entered, looking older than she had yesterday. Tired. Her perfect composure had cracks showing. Elena. Victoria turned. Thank you for seeing me. I'm not sure I had a choice. You ambushed me at my office. Because you won't take my calls. Victoria's voice was steady but pained. I need you to understand. Understand what, Mother? That you protected the people who destroyed Dad? That you chose reputation over truth? I chose survival, Victoria said sharply. Then softer, I chose wrong. I see that now. Elena felt her anger wavering, but she held on to it. Dad died thinking his family believed he was a thief. He died alone, disgraced because you were too afraid to fight for him. I know. Victoria's voice broke. I know. And I will live with that guilt for the rest of my life. But Elena, he wasn't alone at the end. He had you. You believed in him when no one else did. That should have been you too. Yes. It should have been. Victoria stepped closer. I was weak. I was scared of losing everything. The house, the social standing, the security. Richard promised if I stayed quiet, he'd take care of us financially. I convinced myself the truth didn't matter if we could just move forward. The truth always matters, Elena said. I know that now. Watching you last night, seeing your courage, I realized what I should have been, what I failed to be. Victoria reached into her purse and pulled out a folder. I can't undo the past, but I can help with the present. Elena took the folder cautiously. Inside were more documents. Bank statements, emails, meeting notes. What is this? Everything Richard kept hidden. I've had access to his files for years. I never looked because I was afraid of what I'd find. But after last night, I went through everything. This proves the full extent of his fraud, including the name of the person who helped him. Elena's hands shook as she read through the documents. The person Derek had been paying wasn't just a hired thug. It was someone from inside her own company, a senior developer who'd had access to all her systems, her security, everything. James Vance. Elena felt sick. He's been with my company since the beginning. I trusted him. Richard recruited him 2 years ago. Promised him a position in the family company once you were discredited and your business collapsed. He's been feeding them information, sabotaging your projects, setting up the infrastructure for your downfall. Ryan took the folder, scanning through it quickly. This is enough to prosecute both Richard and Vance. Elena looked at her mother. Why are you helping now? Because I already lost my husband to my cowardice. I won't lose my daughter too. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I deserve your forgiveness. But I want to help make this right. However I can. Elena felt her own tears coming. You should have done this 3 years ago. I know. You should have stood by us. By him, by me. I know. Elena wanted to stay angry. Part of her felt she deserved to be angry forever. But another part, the part that sounded like her father, remembered that holding on to anger was like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. I'm not ready to forgive you, Elena said carefully. But I'm willing to try. Eventually, if you're serious about making things right. Victoria nodded, tears streaming down her face. Thank you. That's more than I have any right to ask for. After her mother left, Ryan pulled Elena into a hug. She let herself collapse against him, the weight of everything finally catching up. This is a lot, he murmured into her hair. That's an understatement. Elena pulled back slightly. I need to deal with James. He's probably in the building right now, still pretending to be loyal. We call the police first. Let them handle the arrest. After the board meeting, I need to address this with the company first. They deserve to know we had a traitor in our ranks. The board meeting was tense. Elena laid out everything, showed them the evidence, explained how James Vance had been undermining the company from within. The board was shocked, angry, but ultimately supportive. They voted unanimously to cooperate fully with law enforcement and to implement new security protocols. When the police arrived to arrest James, Elena insisted on being there. She watched as they let him out in handcuffs, this person she'd trusted, who'd betrayed her for money and promises of power. Was any of it real? She asked him. The friendship, the loyalty? James wouldn't meet her eyes. You were always going to fail eventually. I just helped speed it up. Except I didn't fail, Elena said quietly. I won, and you're going to prison. As they took him away, Ryan squeezed her shoulder. That's everyone then. Richard, Derek, James, it's really over. Is it? Elena looked around her office at the company she'd built, the life she'd created. I feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. That's normal after trauma. It'll take time to feel safe again. Elena turned to face him fully. I feel safe with you. And with Mia, that's the only place right now where things make sense. Then come home, Ryan said. Not to my apartment as a temporary hideout, but home, with us, where you belong. Ryan, that's a big step. I know. But these past few weeks, having you there, watching you with Mia, falling asleep on the couch after long days of investigation, making breakfast. 6 months had passed since the night of the gala, and Elena was standing in the kitchen of what she now called home, attempting to flip pancakes while Mia provided running commentary. No, you have to wait for more bubbles before you flip it, Mia instructed seriously. Dad says patience is the secret ingredient. Your dad is wise about many things, Elena said, successfully flipping a pancake that actually looked decent. Are you talking about me? Ryan appeared in the doorway, fresh from his morning run, and kissed Elena on the cheek before ruffling Mia's hair. Always, Elena teased. Life had settled into something beautifully ordinary. The legal cases against Richard and Derek were progressing. Richard had pleaded guilty to fraud and embezzlement, facing significant prison time. Derek was fighting the charges, but the evidence was overwhelming. James Vance had taken a plea deal and was serving 5 years for corporate espionage and conspiracy. Elena's company had not only survived the scandal, but thrived. The publicity had actually helped, positioning her as a crusader for truth and integrity. 3 major contracts had come through in the past month alone, and her team had grown by 20%. But the biggest change was personal. Elena had officially moved into Ryan's apartment 2 months ago, though truthfully she'd never really left after that first week. They'd talked about getting a bigger place, but Mia had vetoed the idea. This is our home, she'd said firmly. We don't need bigger. We need us. Hard to argue with 8-year-old logic. The relationship with her mother was still complicated. Victoria was trying, Elena had to give her that. She'd testified against Richard, handed over all the evidence she had, and was slowly working to make amends. They met for coffee every other week, careful conversations that were getting easier but still had moments of painful honesty. Last week, Victoria had asked if she could come to Mia's birthday party next month. Elena had said yes, but made it clear that Mia came first. If Victoria did anything to upset her, she'd be asked to leave. Victoria had agreed without argument, and Elena could see how much that cost her mother's pride. But maybe that was necessary. Maybe that's what accountability looked like. Earth to Elena. Ryan waved a hand in front of her face. You're burning the pancakes. Oh no. Elena quickly flipped them, slightly too dark but not ruined. Still counts, Mia declared. Rule is, if it's not black, you can put syrup on it. They ate breakfast together, Mia chattering about her upcoming field trip to the Science Museum and her plans to build a volcano for the science fair. Elena listened, offering suggestions about chemical reactions and structural integrity. Ryan just smiled, watching them interact with an expression that made Elena's heart skip. After breakfast, while Mia got ready for school, Ryan pulled Elena aside. I have something for you, he said, pulling a small box from his pocket. Elena's breath caught. Ryan, it's not what you think. Well, not yet anyway. He opened the box to reveal a key. I know you already live here, but I wanted to make it official. This is your home, our home. No more guest room, no more temporary. Your family. Elena took the key, feeling tears prick her eyes. I already knew that. But thank you. This means everything. There's something else. Ryan pulled out another envelope. I've been offered a position. Head of security for a major corporation. Better pay, better hours, more stability for Mia. But it would mean less field work, no more protection details for clients. Ryan, that's wonderful. Why do you sound uncertain? Because I wanted to make sure you're okay with it. The reason I'm being offered the position is partly because of what we did together. Exposing the corruption, solving the case. They want both of us, actually. You as a consultant on corporate security and digital protection. Elena blinked. Me? You stopped a corporate spy from inside your own company. You've implemented security protocols that are now being studied by other businesses. You're good at this, Elena. And we make a good team. We do make a good team, Elena agreed slowly. But I have my company to run. You have a CEO you could promote. Someone you trust. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Maybe a few consulting jobs a year, using your experience to help other companies avoid what you went through. Elena considered it. The idea of working alongside Ryan, using her painful experience to help others, had appeal. And truthfully, she'd been thinking about stepping back from day-to-day operations. Her company was stable now, growing, and she had a strong leadership team. Can I think about it? Of course. No pressure. I just wanted you to know the option exists. That afternoon, Elena had a meeting with her board of directors. She'd been preparing for this for weeks, and she was nervous in a way she hadn't been in months. I want to propose a restructuring, Elena began, pulling up her presentation. I've been CEO for 5 years. In that time, we've grown from a startup to a major player in the tech industry. But to continue growing, we need fresh leadership at the top. The board members exchanged glances. I'm proposing that Taylor Chen be promoted to CEO. She's been my chief operating officer for 3 years. She knows the company inside and out, and she's ready for the responsibility. And what role would you take? One of the board members asked. I'd move to executive chairman, still involved in major decisions and company direction, but stepping back from daily operations. This would also free me up to do some consulting work in corporate security, using what I learned from my own experience to help other companies. The discussion went on for 2 hours. Questions, concerns, logistics. But ultimately, the board agreed. Taylor would transition to CEO over the next 3 months, with Elena remaining closely involved but gradually stepping back. When Elena got home that evening, she found Ryan and Mia in the living room, building what appeared to be a very elaborate blanket fort. What's all this? Elena asked, laughing. It's a celebration fort, Mia announced. Dad said you had a big meeting today, so we're celebrating no matter what happened. Even if the meeting went badly, then we'd be celebrating that it's over, Ryan said with a grin. Win-win. Elena crawled into the fort, squeezing between them on the couch. The meeting went well. Really well. I'm stepping down as CEO. Ryan's eyebrows shot up. Elena, not leaving the company. Just changing roles. And I'm going to take that consulting position. Work with you. If the offer's still open. It's definitely still open. Ryan pulled her close. Are you sure about this? I'm sure. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing what I want instead of what I think I should do. And what I want is balance. Time with you and Mia. Work that matters but doesn't consume me. A life, not just a career. That's so cool, Mia said. Does this mean you'll be at my science fair? I wouldn't miss it for anything. They spent the evening in the blanket fort eating pizza and watching movies, and Elena couldn't remember ever being this content. 6 months ago, her life had been falling apart. Now it was coming together in ways she never expected. Later that night, after Mia was asleep, Ryan and Elena sat on the small balcony, looking out at the city lights. I've been thinking, Ryan said quietly, about the future, about us. Me too. Mia asked me the other day when you were going to officially be her mom, not just living here, but actually her mom. Elena's heart started racing. What did you tell her? I told her I was working on it. Ryan turned to face her fully. Elena, these past 6 months have been the best of my life. You've brought light back into our home, into my heart. Mia loves you. I love you. And I know this is fast. I know we've been through a lot. But I also know I don't want to spend another day without knowing you're committed to this, to us. He pulled out a small box, different from the one with the key. This time when he opened it, there was a ring. Simple, elegant, with a single stone that caught the light. Will you marry me? Will you be Mia's mom and my wife and make this family official? Elena felt tears streaming down her face. Yes, yes, absolutely yes. Ryan slipped the ring on her finger and they kissed under the stars, the city sprawling below them. Everything had led to this moment. All the pain, the betrayal, the fear. It had brought her here. To this man, to this family, to this perfect, imperfect life. When should we tell Mia? Helena asked, laughing through her tears. Knowing her, she probably already knows. I'm not very good at keeping secrets from an 8-year-old. As if on cue, they heard a window slide open behind them. I knew it. Mia's voice rang out. Can I be a flower girl? And can we get a dog, please? Ryan and Elena looked at each other and burst out laughing. Go back to bed, Bug, Ryan called. We'll talk about it in the morning. That's not a no about the dog. Mia's voice was gleeful before the window slid shut again. We're getting a dog, aren't we? Helena said. Probably. And planning a wedding. Definitely. Elena leaned against Ryan, looking at the ring on her finger, thinking about the strange path that had brought her here. She'd set out to clear her father's name and save her company. She'd done that, but she'd also found something she hadn't been looking for. A family, a home. A future that felt solid and real and full of possibility. 3 months later, they stood in a small garden ceremony with close friends and family. Mia was indeed the flower girl, taking her job very seriously. Victoria sat in the front row crying quietly, her relationship with Elena still healing but growing stronger. Elena's company was thriving under Taylor's leadership.